Hey everyone, welcome to the Self-Awareness Journey podcast. I'm Melissa Albers.
And I'm JJ Parker. This podcast is for seekers of happiness, joy, and a centered approach to success in life. Seekers of their true, authentic selves.
Get ready for some real talk on everything from anxiety, emotions, and habits to love, compassion, and forgiveness. We know you'll be challenged and enlightened by this conversation, and we're so glad you're here. Let's dive in.
All right, so summer is here, and
Yay!
I have nonstop been thinking about what life would be like if I just, didn't have a family or a job or any sort of responsibility, and I owned an adventure van, and I just drove around the country going to national parks for like a couple of years on end.
Do you know what? I feel like whenever you get to this place in your life, it's because you've been too busy.
Is that it?
Yeah. Yes, you have a tendency to swing way to the... What a great fantasy, though.
But, like one of those, like, Sprinter vans, and it could have, like, a bed in there and, like, a little kitchenette, and then I could have just a very modest amount of things, almost no things. Doesn't that sound nice?
Actually, it kind of does sound nice, to be honest.
Just like the minimalistic lifestyle. And then I would just wake up every morning to a beautiful sunrise and a warm cup of coffee. Be very serene.
Oh my gosh. Have you seen those cute little campers that are like teardrop shaped? And the whole like 3/4 of the camper is like a queen size bed. And then the top flips up and it's like a whole kitchen. Mm-hmm. I love those. Mm-hmm. I want one of those.
Well, the benefit of having that instead of an adventure van would be that you can disconnect it at your campsite. And then you can, not that I'm fantasizing about this like crazy / researching it / making a plan. Well, I just thought it was interesting.
Amber.
Like you kind of like hit it right away. Like when you get to this point, you ... start fantasizing about this. And I thought it was like really interesting in that way. Like why do we have these fantasies? I think everybody has fantasies of one sort of or another, like alternate life fantasies and what I could do in the future fantasies and what if I did that fantasies like, all the time.
Adult fantasies when you were a kid. Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%. Okay, and this is for realsies. You know what I was fantasizing about yesterday afternoon? So I've been on the road with a colleague of mine delivering some leadership events for the last 3 days in a row, and lots of windshield time, staccatoed by leadership days and having to be on stage all day,
Yep.
And my colleague is very, very organized, like naturally, and the note taking is just like next level. And I thought, I could never do that. And then I started thinking, God, wouldn't it be nice if I did that? How many times have I recreated an event because my notes weren't good enough from the last time I did it? And I actually started fantasizing about if I had this whole file system and it was chronological and it was notes well taken and they were appropriate notes, not the kinds of notes I actually take whenever given the opportunity to take a note.
Rewind to a couple episodes ago titled Planning Makes Melissa Freak Out. And here you are fantasizing about being more organized.
See? This is real. This struggle is real. Dang it.
Why do you think we fantasize about things? Like what is the purpose of it?
Well, sometimes I just have to think about myself and think, is this normal? Like, is this why I do this? Does everybody do this? So when I answer that question, there's just a little part of me that thinks, wow, you could really be throwing yourself under the bus. I think we fantasize about things to escape the realism of the moment. Mm-hmm. Well, I think some of us do. I think some of us do that. I also wonder if some people use it as a coping mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also use it. I also wonder if some people use it as an escapism.
Yeah.
Like from responsibility, from
yeah,
life. I mean, I think like anything else measuring human beings, this is on a spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, well, I was thinking like, okay, so, like everyone kind of like has like little, I don't know, daydreams or kind of like hopes and dreams around things.
Yeah.
But I think like those are maybe a bit more realistic, or
Yeah.
like almost more achievable. Not that sometimes our fantasies aren't achievable, but in my fantasizing experience, they would be like a 180 departure from like the road we're on, or they would be, they're so
real life
outlandishly different.
Yeah.
That it'd be like, oh, in order to accomplish that fantasy, I would have to like blow up my entire life, right?
Right.
or be a different person, right? Or something, like there are kind of extreme versions of like daydreaming or,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a lot of times they're super romanticized, right? Like my little idea that I wake up every morning with a hot cup of coffee is really probably not reality of life on the road. It probably is like wake up with a sore back, not
try
have
to
any
find
water,
some water. Right?
Don't have any coffee, like
no place to go to the bathroom,
no money, absolute hell
except where you could get arrested.
Right? Yeah. Like waking up in the Walmart parking lot, it's
plugged in.
Yeah.
Well,
but so a lot of times I think they are very romanticized or idealistic.
Yeah,
and it is kind of nice
or extreme.
They're pushed out there in some way.
Right.
But I agree with you. A lot of times it's kind of like escapism. It's just like there's some unmet need, or there's something that I kind of wish was different. And if I just think about this, I feel like I escape my own life for a little while.
Yeah. Do you know what is really interesting that this just hit me as you were talking? I think sometimes fantasizing is so healthy. I really think it's a healthy way to release anxiety, or if the current reality is just too harsh or too exhausting or too daunting or too sad, I think that it's super healthy to be able to reset your brain by thinking something completely opposite. And then, the next thing I thought, and this is actually kind of sad, this makes me kind of sad. I realized that as I have grown up, I have never been one to fantasize much. And I don't think that that's a good thing. I think that I held myself back from fantasizing because it was just too hard to think about. Like, I maybe didn't deserve to have that kind of perfect utopia of the moment, right? Like, and I just wonder about that because I had a childhood that was a little tougher,
Yeah, well, there's
I never thought of that.
Your childhood again influencing the adult version of you.
Yeah, because the next right behind that is I have always loved having friends that are huge fantasizers. I've always loved it. I've always leaned in and just found it fascinating and creative and fun. Like, you do this all the time. You always will come up with something crazy like this. And I always just love it. I just think, God, that's so great. Like, I would have never thought of that.
Yeah, I think there are some like really good parts of fantasizing. Like it's calming. A lot of times it's calming. It feels
interesting.
To me, it feels like if I do get overwhelmed, and you're right, my current fantasy might be related to that.
Oh, maybe. We can talk about that when we're finished.
But it is soothing to me. It's just like, oh, imagine a life that was way simpler. I can get I can get myself into that more that fantasized
centered
state.
Oh, interesting. Because that is not the feeling I have with fantasizing. Isn't that interesting? My feeling is almost like, my feeling, and I'm probably uncovering something like in this moment because my feeling about it is, I don't want to feel worse than I already feel by picturing something that can never be. So it's almost like a self-regulated box, which is not, I mean, it's like, good grief, lighten up. Like that's how it makes me, like how I feel. And that sounds, I guess I sound like I'm judging myself, but I think it's just, I never really realized that. And to the level the fantasizing can occur, the bigger and the more detailed fantasies are, the more I think they're fascinating and so fun to hear about when it's other people.
Yeah, that is funny. The other time I'll fantasize about things is like when I'm bored.
Oh, you do?
Oh yeah, it's fun to sit around and be bored and just like think of what life could be in different ways.
Okay,
it's like a good pastime.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you know what my fantasizing would look like in bored moments? Seriously, this is 100% true. If I'm bored and I have like an entire weekend, for example, with nothing going on, no one's home, just me, I might start thinking, what am I going to do? I can do anything. And then right behind that, I should vacuum the basement. I need to go through that. I should. And pretty soon the I shoulds are piled up. And then I feel guilty if I don't do them.
Do it.
So I don't even give myself a chance to just reflect and have creative time being silly and whimsical.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And my fantasies would be things like, I want to be completely debt free and have $200,000 in the bank.
Those are like very practical fantasies.
So boring. That's so boring. I don't want to be boring.
Well, it sounds like you got yourself like a weekend activity.
I actually can.
You can't?
I can.
Oh, you can?
No, I can. Yeah.
Yeah, you can work on this weekend.
I don't even know if I know how to do it. How do you do it? For real, how do you do it?
I don't know. Just like...
How do you do that without like all of a sudden attaching certain realism to it and then either feeling guilty about how you got there or feeling like you have to actually do it?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Because at first I'm like, what are you talking about? Like it's like walking. It's like everyone knows how to do it. But you're right. There's like a big letting go. You have to let go of anything, of logic. That's the problem. Is
now we're getting to the root of my challenge.
Wander into illogic, like, and you can't constrain it with like
practicalities.
Like why it won't work, like at all. Like you have to forget all of the rules of life.
I don't know if I can.
I think
serious.
You can do it.
I don't know. I think we could practice something.
You could definitely practice.
No, I mean right now. I think we should practice something.
Okay.
Let's let's think of a topic, and then let's fantasize about it. Like let's just do that for fun.
Okay. What's your topic?
So let's see. The topic would be $1 million.
Okay.
Is that too stupid? Okay. Let's not do that
for this one because I have like 100 different fantasies about how to accomplish that goal.
Oh my gosh. Okay. No, I don't mean accomplishing it. I mean having it and fantasizing about if you had $1 million that was just liquid cash to do absolutely anything in the world with it. What would you do?
Right. So the first thing that came to mind is that I am going to go to the yacht store and I am going to buy a yacht. And it's going to be big and white and it's going to have like a jet ski on like one of those little crane things so that you can like take it off the yacht and put it in the water. And I will be dressed like head to toe in like the whitest white clothes, like my yacht outfit.
You can have like a skipper hat.
Yes. And of course, yacht rock will be playing throughout the vessel.
Are you going to have like an ascot tied around your neck as well?
It's going to be amazing.
Gosh. Wow. Do you know the first thing I thought of?
What?
I need to put that in the bank and invest it.
Yeah, right.
I did. I really did. And then I thought, well, maybe I can take a little bit and go on a week-long trip somewhere.
Yeah. And then you kind of realize in 2025 that $1 million isn't actually that big of a pile of money anymore.
It's not. No, right? It sure isn't.
Like, I've got my 1960s version of $1 million.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, you think of a topic. I seriously want to try this again. You think of a topic.
Okay.
Or a problem you're trying to solve. Maybe that's because that's how you seem like you go to fantasy, is when you need a break from whatever is in front of you somehow.
No. So here's the scenario is that like you have found yourself somewhere else in the world in the middle of a market. What happens? What's your life? What's your life like? And from the scenario that like you are the middle of a busy market somewhere else in the world.
Do you know what I pictured? Ooh, this is really fun. I feel like I had a little mini breakthrough. I pictured that I was wearing like an Indian dress, like a like bright silk, like with like just a beautiful material, and I was collecting roots and herbs, and I was buying all these like all these different things.
Yeah.
Like I was buying all these things and I was collecting them, and I was visiting with everybody as I was doing that.
Yeah. And so like why are you there? Like what in your life led you there? Like, do you live there and you're just out for the day?
Yeah, I do live there.
Yeah.
I do live there. Oh, that's really fun. I'm gonna think about this all day. I'm gonna add to this.
Now look, so I'm there all day. A new fantasy.
I love it, especially the dress. Wow, you know, women in America we just we don't know how to be enough. Not color. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think that's good. I mean, that's great. Like you could have had a practical example. Right?
Well, yeah, which would I probably was buying practical things to bake or cook something practical.
Your first example, like, have $1 million.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
My example was, like, you're just somewhere for some reason, and then you have to backfill, like, your whole story. That's where I think fantasy is fun.
Yeah, that is so fun. Because
not starting from, like, where you are now to, like, a separate point, but that can be fun, too.
Right.
But just the idea that like you are somewhere completely else, something completely else, someone completely else.
Yeah.
Let's think about what that's like.
That's really fun. And, I feel like what you just said is from where you are to going somewhere. I feel like that's like the intermediate. That's intermediate. I feel like I'm a beginner. I never actually realized about myself at all. But yeah, I feel like taking it from where you are to going somewhere else puts me in my logical mind way too much again.
Yeah.
And then I have a really hard time bouncing out of that.
Yeah, but if we take you out and put you in a market in India, then you can't use logic to justify why you are there. You are just there. And then you can just explore from that point.
I love that. Okay, let me ask you something. We're talking about having some fun and having it be kind of it's like a little mental holiday.
Yeah, it's great.
It's like taking
a vacation, but you don't have to go anywhere, not even off your couch.
Okay, but what happens if fantasizing what happens when it's on the extreme continuum? What does that look like? And why do you think that occurs?
Well, I think you're right that becomes kind of like escapism. Like, I don't want to deal with what's happening in my real life. So I'm just going to think about alternate lives, alternate scenarios where where all my needs are satisfied, right? Where I am financially stable and I'm loved and this
or the
that.
situation
like,
I'm in
whatever.
Isn't actually occurring.
Yeah, whatever it might be, whatever those like unmet needs are, and you can spend a lot of time there.
I wonder.
I bet you could spend years and years there.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I wonder how this fantasizing intersects with when people are mentally not in good spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, because like I had a coaching client call me last night after hours and say, I just need to talk through this because I can't tell if I am making up this story in my mind or if it's actually happening. And I thought, what a great perspective. But to me, where does that intersect with this idea of fantasizing?
That's a good question. It's probably like a fine line.
It probably is. Yeah, it probably is. Because
the other thing I wonder about like the fantasy is like using it as a guide.
Oh.
Right? To say like, hey, whatever thing I'm really fantasizing about, I wonder, not that you need to go all the way there. Yeah. But maybe you need to go part way there. Like if maybe you need to go get a new wardrobe.
With way more bright colors and all silk.
That's the
Everything's
compass,
silk.
Right?
Everything's silk.
But there probably is the idea that those might guide you in some way.
Even if it's not the manifestation of the exact thing that you're fantasizing, but just the manifestation of something in that direction, huh?
Yeah, maybe like practically like what you're doing, who you're surrounded by, where you are. Or maybe also like what feeling is being created by that fantasy. Yeah. Do you want to go seek more of that feeling? Like if you want to go seek more adventure, go seek that feeling. If I want to go seek more like calmness and minimalism, maybe I can create that here. Like I don't have to go buy a van and live in the desert. Right. I can actually create more of that here. So like if I'm fantasizing about that alternate life a lot, maybe I can pull out some things about my fantasy and start trying to apply them to my everyday life.
Yeah. I'm just noticing how logical my brain is because even right here as you're talking about it, I'm trying to separate the realism from the idea of these grandiose differences. I'm like trying to separate and saying, yeah, but if you do that, then do you start feeling, does that make you feel like you're, I don't know. It just makes me feel like I need to put some boundary around that. Isn't that funny? I mean, I'm really having a hard time like just trying to picture, because I think it's so beneficial and I can just see how fun it is and like you're talking about. And then I just realized that I get so mirrored in all of what's actually happening that I don't allow myself that flexibility. Yeah. And yet then there are some people I think who are in that space so often that it's on the extreme again, but it becomes almost difficult to interact with them, even if it goes to that extreme.
Yeah, because like I think if it goes too far and you're just kind of living in la fantasy land all the time, you actually might have like a pretty distorted view of reality.
That's a good word.
Right? You might really start to lose the context of what is real and what is in fantasy. Right. And those might blur and it might become hard to find like a shared reality with someone else.
Yeah, right. Or if you are prone to, do you think that this is a standard way of thinking, fantasizing, or do you think this is like a regular thing, or do you think like this is a?
I don't know. I'll have to do a survey. I only know for me.
I just feel like I'm in my head so much that I can't even
know that I've sat around and talked about fantasizing with any other person. So my research on this is real thin.
Well, look at how much progress you've made today. Well, it is interesting to think about your relationship with fantasy and just your ability to use it in a way that makes you feel good. Yep. Use it in a way that's creative and fun and an outlet, you know. And I think, boy, if you ever want to, I just realized too, if you ever want to watch experts in fantasizing, just hang out with kids.
For sure.
I mean, they can just take anything and make it something extravagant. And it's just such a joy to see that. I've always loved that.
Cool. Well, enjoy your weekend of fantasizing. That's your task. That's your self-awareness journey task for the week.
It actually sounds like kind of a fun one. I might need you to send me like 5 more fun topics because if you gave me the option, you saw I was having even a hard time coming up with a topic.
Will do.
Thanks.
Did you enjoy this episode? Please go to your favorite podcast platform to subscribe, rate, and leave a review so others can discover it as well. Growing self-awareness is a lifelong journey, and it's better when we're all in it together. Please think of someone you know who could benefit from hearing today's conversation and share this episode with them.
We can't thank you enough for listening. Until next time, happy exploring.